welcome back to Designing the Best You. What a wonderful time in history in Q4 of 2024 to be talking about job searching and the basics. We're going back to the basics, guys. So many of you guys have been asking me these questions, and I see it all over LinkedIn, and I talk to recruiters and hiring managers and potential clients and current clients, past clients, all those people, and everyone's like, do I change jobs? Can I switch careers? Does this look professional? Is this really the time? Should I wait because it's an election year until after the election to see what happens? We're in a recession. I'm struggling with my finances because I've been laid off and this was unexpected. I have no severance, or maybe you did get severance and it's out and you've been looking for a long time and you're like, well, should I change? Right? All these questions start to go in our heads. We have fears, we have doubts, our confidence wanes, so many different things. And I want you to know they're all valid. All valid questions, they're all valid thoughts, okay? But as we go back to the basics of job searching, right? We cannot, once again, if you guys have been following me for a while, we cannot change the process. And each company has a different process. Each industry has a different process. I mean, you name it. There isn't, if someone said, if I interviewed 1,000 of you, 10,000 of you, and said, what is the job search process at your company? I'm going to get 10,000 different answers, okay? So there is no one process, okay, for finding that job. But the point of today's episode is to say, hey, is this really the best time for me to change careers or pivot in my career, okay? And I want to answer those questions for you. We all know that the job search process in general, it's an emotionally taxing process, right? Because you feel like you've got a good interview and then you're not selected. Or you've been applying to all these jobs and then you're not getting, Daisy, you're not getting anywhere, right? And so I want to kind of calm those fears, and I want to answer some questions about all of that because it's really important. And I want you to know that I've been there, okay? You're all like, no, you haven't, Vanessa. Yeah, like, yes, I have. Okay, so my background, any of you who've known me for a while or have worked with me, I have a background in engineering technology, specifically in manufacturing and industrial engineering, but I've worked in many different fields, and I've worked in many different industries with different titles across the country, okay? It's not putting myself on a high horse. It's just, that's what it is, okay? And I have had many questions over the years. Why is it's easy for me? Maybe it's easy for me being an engineer or being in this position as a plant manager or being a director of operations or being in the holistic health field. Maybe it's easy for me. But what if? Or when it starts to get hard, I sit there and go, oh my gosh, like, really, should I be in this industry? This is tough. When I was in construction and steel fabrication and erection, I was like, this is tough. Is this a place where I really should be? The work environment is so toxic. It's male dominated. I'm getting put down because I'm a woman, okay? And should I be here? Or should I change? Should I go into whatever it is, whatever I was thinking at the time? I want you to know, and maybe you're good at it and you're like, but I'm good at it. Is this going to look bad because I have a passion maybe over here and I'm good at something over here, but I'm not really good at this passion yet, but I can't shake this passion? All of those questions are valid. I have a passion for foster care. Does it mean I should go work in it, or should I volunteer in it? Or should I actually be a foster parent, right? You have to sit and answer those questions, and I'll get to that in a minute. I'm not going to go down that path. I'm going to bring you down the path, okay? So all these are valid questions. All are valid thoughts, feelings, okay? So none of it is bad. None of it is wrong. I want you to know that for sure, okay? There was a survey done, and I can't remember, do I have my notes? No. I'll put it in the show notes here. But there was a survey done a few months ago that I was reading, and it revealed that there was a significant portion, so like more the majority, right? About 58% of people in corporate right now who are considering a considerable career shift. I mean, you look at that. Think about your workplace. More than half of the people in your workplace right now, or who were in your workplace, are like, I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. That's a lot, but here's the funny thing, is this figure actually mirrors last year and the year before and the year before. People are always having these questions. That's the biggest point right now that so far in this episode I want you to get out of this, is that people are always, we're human. We have this complex brain and body. Let's just talk about the brain right now that wants more. We always want more. We were designed to want more, okay? And we see a problem and we're like, I want to embrace that problem and I want to attack that problem, or we're like, I want to run away from that problem. I want to find something else. Someone else can handle it, okay? And, as I've said before, the job market, okay, is cyclical in so many ways. Look at the housing market. Look at how it's cyclical. If you actually study those things, the stock market, so many different, various industries are cyclical or seasonal, you can call it too. If you actually study the job market, okay, let me back up here. If you study the housing market, like when you should be looking to buy and when you should be looking to sell, correct? Okay. Same thing in the job market. You should be looking. Okay, here's when, I know, for example, November and December, mid-November through December are really busy, and into January are really busy months for me as a career coach. And once again, in April, March, April. And then it kind of dies off. And then there's little ups and downs and stuff like that. But those are the busy times. So I know when people are starting to think about things, when people are wanting the shift. And you should know that in your own industry too, as well as the job market itself. Okay, each year is going to have its own little cyclical thing, but it's pretty much the same. Okay, over all the years that I've been doing this in my job, my company, and when I was in corporate. Okay, you know when to hire, you know what your budgets are, where should I start looking, when should I start hiring, all those types of things. Okay, it's called a plan, right? Okay, so many people, all of you guys out there, I shouldn't say all of you guys, but there's so many of you out there who are on the fence about changing careers. Whether it's 2024 or heck, remember 4 years ago, 2020, and yet another election year and all that stuff that happened, okay? You got laid off, all the stuff, okay? So in this constant flux, okay, in the job market, here's what I want you to understand. Mastering the skill of career pivoting has actually evolved, okay? From just this option to a crucial requirement for many professionals. Okay, so why? Why is it this option now? Okay, because we have so many opportunities, because the internet is blown up. There's so many things that we're seeing now as I would like to say it, as you guys have heard me over the years or worked with me, there's so many opportunities for improvements in this world that we can take on as a job, or a company solves a problem and people help solve that problem as a job. Okay, think about it that way. Okay, so I'm not saying stay in your industry. I'm not saying stay in your current career, but I'm also not saying to get out. That's a decision you have to weigh out. So maybe it's spurred on by a yearning for personal development. Maybe you're like, hey, you know what? I've been in sales. I have a client right now who's in sales for a while and is like, okay, I'm kind of working in the cybersecurity area, but I don't really want to do sales in that anymore. I want to jump over here. Okay, so how are we going to do that, right? Why do you want to do it? Maybe there's an industry there's an alteration in an industry landscape that you're like, okay, I don't really like how this is going in my industry right now, so I'm going to look at other options, okay? Maybe there's a hobby that you're like, you know what? I'm in my late 40s and I'm like, I want to change and I want to really pursue this hobby and turn it into something that's can be a job for me or a business. Okay, great. Maybe you realize that all the stuff that you've acquired, you did so well, which so many of you have done so well in your career, and you have a job right now and you're like, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it right now. Maybe I want to go and pursue something I'm passionate about and it's less money, right? So the capacity, let's put it this way, the capacity to pivot has emerged as a competency, right? Whether you've gotten laid off or whether you have the opportunity to make the choice, I think it's really important to understand how to pivot your career, because there's layoffs that are always going to happen. There's things that are going to happen in your life, circumstances, seasons of your life where you're going to have to make some of these critical decisions, and it's going to affect your career. You're going to have to learn how to pivot, right? I mean, my family has moved multiple places across the country, and at least once a year, and we've had to learn how to manage that change. And each time we do it, we get it better. Okay? Same thing with the job. Okay? Advancing in your career by stepping out of your comfort zone does involve more than just forming new habits or learning something to get a certificate in. Okay? It's fully understanding what pivoting means. And then, here's the part that so many of you miss: designing a manageable strategy. Never set in stone, but a manageable one. Okay? And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about. But let's not forget, it is incredibly, incredibly important to look at a career pivot and say, I don't want to do this unless my mental, emotional, physical, and potentially spiritual health are somewhat intact. Because if they're not intact, here's the thing, okay? If they're not intact, your emotions are going to drive things. Your mental health, maybe you're dealing with a lot of brain fog, is going to drive that decision because or maybe you're so tired, or maybe you're just getting sick so much that you're like, I don't care what kind of job, I can't be in that job. Maybe it's just healing those things. Okay, but I'm not going to dive into that in that episode. I want you to think about that, okay? So we've heard that don't let your emotions rule, or sleep on it, right? In quotes, air quotes here, sleep on it. Because so many times out of our sadness, out of our frustration, out of our depression, our anger, or whatever it is, okay, can cause us to make decisions that are going to affect us in the future, okay? Maybe we're upset about a boss giving us a project, and then we were promised a promotion, and then we weren't. We didn't get it. Maybe we have a situation where we're going through a divorce with a spouse, and that is just draining on us, and you're like, I just can't do that difficult of a job anymore. I should find something else. I really believe the first step in a career pivot is understanding what it means to you. I can't make that decision for you, and I shouldn't. No one else can. But I can give you some tools, some tricks, some tips, some strategy around what you should do, okay? I don't believe that a career pivot is job hopping, right? That was a term that was coined, a decade or so ago, that job hopping was bad. Oh my gosh, if I had to take a job for 6 months, don't put it on my resume. I look like a job hopper, right? Many situations. I had a client who, his son had cancer, and he had to go to multiple states to get treatment. And so he had to take a job wherever he went. And people were not hiring him because way back before COVID, because it looked like he was like going to be a risk. But if people knew his story and understood, like, he's doing whatever he had to do to support his family and deal with that season in his life. Okay. But job hopping really isn't, I don't want to say it isn't an issue anymore, but it isn't as much of a negative issue anymore. Okay. I think if we're being honest, okay, and I want you to hear me out. I think if we're being honest, okay, most professionals, whether it's hiring managers, a person who's actually looking for a job, like a job seeker, HR people, whatever it is, I think we truly misunderstand what a pivot or a career change is. What I believe, what I've seen and noted over the years, a career pivot or a career change is about pursuing new experiences, is about pursuing newly learned skills, or maybe going back to old skills and reigniting them, different perspectives that can lead to a changed career trajectory, okay? And that doesn't necessarily mean changing industries or changing job titles. So here's an example. I have a client right now, and he's questioning. He's like, I'm at a point where this large company I work for could be making some massive layoffs. I have acquired all that I really want to have in life, and I want to start a family. I'm good at dealing with people and managing people and directing people. I worked in the military. I've seen a lot of things, okay? I've done sales, I've done operations, I've done those things. And during the last couple sessions that we've had, what he's noted as I've asked some questions, some pretty tough questions, which I do in my coaching, that's the point, is I said, is it really the company that you're working for and the role that you're in that's causing you the frustration and questioning and making you question yourself about wanting to jump ship? Or, and here's the key right here, are you focusing on, is it that you aren't focusing on why you may truly be where you are? Sometimes we don't like to be in sticky situations. We don't want to be in a toxic company culture. We don't want to deal with a micromanager as a boss. But I want you to shift perspectives and look at it through a new set of eyes and say, am I running and trying to jump ship because, like, this is like if you're in a current job right now, or if you're in an industry and you're like, I want out of this industry or whatever, okay? Am I running away because I don't want to deal with the hard stuff and I'm sick and tired of dealing with the hard stuff? Or is it that I have not acquired the skills to be able to work through that situation, right? All of you, and here's another example, all of you complain about the job search process. So what are you personally going to do to change that process? Not one person can change the whole thing, but you can play a part in it. Let's say your company is really toxic and you're like, I don't want to just leave because I need a job. And I'm so tired, like I said, of the micromanager. And it's just, I come home and I just like cry every night and I can't get sleep and I'm so exhausted. They make me do so much work and blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe you have a lack of boundaries. Just like my current client right now, I brought it up. I'm like, maybe you have a lack of boundaries. What was it like growing up? Did your mom and dad set boundaries with you and with them for themselves? And he was like, ooh, actually, no. My mom was a people pleaser and she's still at almost 70 years old, working her tail off. And then she works until she's completely burned out and has to take off multiple days to recover. I want you to think about that. Is it that you're not learning certain skills and you just think, oh, I'm going to go to another company? Oh, easy button, right? Y'all are about the easy button, okay? We all want easy in life. But is that really what's going to make us grow? Is that really what's going to make us an asset to an organization or not? I sit there and, any of you with kids, it's like, how do I want my children to look at me? How do I want to change the next generation? So many millennials, even baby boomers and millennials are like, these Gen Zs and Ys and all those things are lazy and they're entitled. Okay, so what are you going to do? Stop complaining about it and do something about it. And if you can't or won't do something about it, stop complaining about it. Yep, I said it. You guys all know I'm here and to speak the truth, okay? So, but when we ask these type of difficult questions of ourselves, and truly slow down and think about why we want to change careers, what happens is we open up our hearts and minds to different perspectives, okay? We need each person and their different perspectives, and for us to see and understand and seek to understand those different perspectives to make this world go round, okay? Another question to ask yourself is, am I pivoting because part of my strategy, my plan, is to experience different company cultures, positions, and locations? If that's the case, that's your plan, right? Or here's another question to ask yourself too. And I want you guys to pause and stop this episode and like write down these questions to ask yourself, okay? These are important questions. They're deep questions, okay? But here's another question. Do I want to make pivoting or career change a part of my strategy so that if and when I get laid off, it's easier for me to find a job because I do so on a quote unquote regular basis? You see, asking these questions, if you notice, there isn't a right or wrong strategy, but you need to have a strategy. And I'm not saying that strategy has to be set in stone, But that strategy you need to start playing out that strategy. You can't just say, I need to find a job that makes X amount of money and I need to find it in 3 months or less. Okay, that's a great goal. That's a goal. Now, what's your plan of action? What's your strategy to do that? Why do you want that? Is it because of bills? Okay, we all got them. Okay, that's something everyone has and everyone's fighting for, right? But why? Do you want to experience new things? Do you want to go be in Hawaii? Do you want to go travel to places in Mexico or wherever it is? Do you want to just pick up your family and you want to go to Italy and be there? Like, why? Do you want to experience something different? Is it like, hey, you know what, you love the Italian culture and that's kind of what you want to do and be? Is that what God's called you to do? Okay? Like, my husband hates when I ask, like, what's your plan? This is my plan. I'm just doing it. Well, okay. Yes, you have to have a plan, especially when you have a family. What are the impacts it's going to have on each person in the family? Right? And then you have to communicate it. My clients hate when I'm like, hey, here's your homework. And on our next session, I want you to tell me what your plan is. And by the way, it's not just find a job, not just get a resume set, not just have a LinkedIn profile that's awesome, not just reach out to 10 people and have networking conversations. There's very specific reasons why you would want to do that. Okay? So, but again, I want to emphasize that you need to think about, is 2024 or beginning of 2025 the best time to change careers for you? Okay? Whether the job market says, whether the industry says, many of you have been laid off and you're asking that question. You're at the end of your rope, you're applying all these jobs and you're getting nowhere. And from my personal experience, okay, being laid off sucks. Okay, we've had it in our family. Okay, my husband, as you guys have listened, was laid off earlier this year in 2024, and it stunk. It was like we kind of knew what was coming, but we didn't know when. And, you know, it affects everyone emotionally, financially, physically, mentally, and everyone different. Okay, so if we can learn how to do that and learn how to prepare for it in advance, guess what? And we practice it, guess what? We have a strategy, okay? But we have to understand too that each one of us has a deep desire for professional change, and it's always linked to a deeper need for personal growth, or sometimes a life-changing experience, a self-discovery journey that we're desperately looking for, okay? And I always encourage you guys to work with a professional, whether it's a therapist, a coach, or a consultant like myself, who understands that not only the economy and the job market, but the traumas we've been through growing up and how that affects our decision making, okay? For example, I have a client and every time there's a big bill that happens or one of her 5 kids has an injury or a health issue or they all of a sudden get charged for something or whatever it is, or you've got a car problem, she goes into a panic attack. She has digestive issues. She starts having flare-ups. She has some autoimmune stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's walk through. It's a trigger for you. What's our plan? When this happens, what do we think? What do we feel? What do we do? Okay? Those are really important. We can't have our entire life planned. We can't. That's, first of all, not our job. Okay? Our job is to learn how to ebb and flow. And a lot of that's from our nervous system. I've talked about that in many episodes. Our nervous system that is literally created and formed by age 5. And so if we've been through so many traumatic things, we're going to respond in this hypervigilant survival mode type way. And if you guys want some survival mode, get out of survival mode techniques and tips and tricks, in the show notes, I have it on every episode. There is my survival mode guide. Download that for free. And please, there's really simple things like putting an ice pack on your neck and calming down your system. Different breathing techniques, different things that you can do. So go ahead and download that, okay? But your decision making is going to be different based on the different experiences you've had throughout life. So it's really important to understand those and have a plan, okay? I have a plan for a lot of things and sometimes I don't follow it. I'm human and so are you, okay? But having a plan is important. Having a strategy is important for all those things, okay? Having a plan, right? If your car dies, what are you going to do? What's the plan? Okay? If you know the car is acting up, and I say this because we just had some car issues, that's why it's on my mind, but If you know the car is acting up, okay, now what's your plan? What's your strategy? How are you going to financially do it? How are you going to mentally deal with it? How are you going to emotionally deal with it? What are the tensions that are going to come up in your family and your marriage as a result? How are you going to have to move around your plan, your schedule? All this stuff is the same thing with job searching and career pivoting, okay? Change, this is something I want to note here. Change is always better when it comes from within, and it's in alignment with what God has in store for you. We all want things that we think is going to make our life better and easier, and some of them do, but we have to make sure we're in alignment with what our Creator has designed us to be, okay? So if you deeply feel like a change is needed or desired in your career, then chances are, you're likely to be right, but the next step is to not keep wondering about it. It's to start moving purposely and intentionally towards that feeling. And then to not let that feeling drive, not to let that feeling make the decision, but let that feeling drive why. Okay, if any of you guys did any like the Lean Six Sigma, Kaizen stuff, a lot of the Japanese culture is, you have the 5 whys. Ask yourself why? Why do I feel that way? And I'm going to be really bold and blunt here as usual. But in my mind, there's never been a lack of opportunities of jobs. Even though I've changed my career path within all the major things over the last decades of, handful of decades. You've got 2007, 2008 financial crisis, right? COVID, right? Our 2024 recession, okay? I want you to think about this statement, and I want you to really, really think about it. I become the person who attracts the results I seek. We've talked about this before. I talk about it in my coaching sessions. What characteristics do you want to have? What do you want to emanate in this world? What do you want people to look at you and be like, oh my gosh, this person is? No matter what industry, what career, what job title, whether they have a job or not, this is who they are. They're a man or woman of integrity. They are honest. They are truthful. Those are all pretty much the same. Who are you? You're driven, you're tenacious, you're thoughtful, you're caring, you're encouraging. You have boundaries, right? Who do you want to be? What characteristics do you want to show off? Or as I tell my boys, what kind of light do you want to shine to the world? Okay? So I want you to think about that. So if you're seeking to change or pivot careers, start with what's going on inside of you. Okay? Why do you want to make an impulse decision? Why, when money is threatened, do you freak out? Why do you get digestive issues or a lump in your throat or heart palpitations or migraines when you hear the word layoff buzzing around the office or whatever it is? Why does money actually matter to you? Okay? And so on. All the questions. So as we close out this episode, is it really a good time to change careers at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025? Yes and no. I know you guys are like, you didn't answer my question for me, right? But again, you need to ask yourself why. What is driving you to change careers? What isn't settling well inside of you and why? Slow down, okay, to figure that out, right? We slow down to speed up. We've heard that phrase. We do. We slow down to speed up. I wanted to be a multimillionaire like 10 years ago. But I didn't slow down, okay? And none of you guys do either. You say you do, you don't, okay? And I have health and lab reports to prove that you guys don't slow down when we do those tests too, okay? You're not going to miss out on applying to a job or responding to a post on LinkedIn or a message or a networking, whatever, okay? Take the time. If you don't apply to jobs, you don't reach out and connect with people for a day, a week, 2 weeks, a month, okay? If that's what it takes, that's what it takes, okay? And then I want you to make sure that you're not making a decision based on emotions, but facts. Yes, emotions drive us, but facts also give us the right pros and cons list. That's a good one. Positive, negative, numbers, right? facts. Okay? That's like saying, I'm going to, I don't know, leave my husband because I feel like I'm frustrated with him today. Well, what did he do? And then you list out the facts, and then you know, the positive and negative, whatever it is, the facts. Okay, well, it was just my feeling today, or is that time of month or whatever, right? Okay, so, you know, you have to think about too, for example, if you get sick every time you have to make a presentation at this company and not at the last 5 companies, well, what's different? Why? Did something change in your life, personal life? Or is it really the company? Maybe you have a hard time standing up to that manager, or you have an issue with someone you're presenting to. Address those. And it may be, when you address those, it may be those skills that are going to help you advance in your career, that are going to help you at the next company that God places you at. But if you don't, guess what? You're going to deal with that same problem or a similar form of that problem at the next company, and the next one, and the next one. Okay? So there was something I wanted to say and I missed it, but anyways, that's human, right? So this is why I'm here. I'm here to help you make solid decisions. I'm here to be that third party, okay, that has felt and dealt with many of the things that you guys have. Okay, I've been through a lot, as you guys have heard over the years. Okay, I haven't been in your exact situations, but I know that this being the last quarter of 2024, even though we're in the recession, we're in an election year, don't let the fears that you have about those things, which are, guys, to be honest, yes, you should vote. Yes, like, we all played a part in some manner, if the whole world put together, in a recession, but they're out of our control. Okay, ultimately they are. But don't let those things make you think job market's bad. People are changing careers. People are changing jobs. People are learning how to be who they were meant to be, and still changing this world and organizations and their families, and still, I mean, gosh, thank God that you have breath in your lungs, okay? Amidst it all, okay? I've had a lot of money. I've had a very little money over the years. I've had tough health issues, and I've had almost no health issues. And in all of it, if we can't learn to be content and utilize the gifts and the skills and the talents and the abilities and our personalities to be who we were created to be, what's the point of it all? Just saying. Okay, so if you are curious about, I almost knocked my drink over, curious about more sneaky ways to pivot your career or to tap into the hidden market of the job world, job market, all the things, make sure you subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss an episode. Okay, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter. The links are in the show notes, and make sure you get any of the guides. Okay, survival mode guide. I have a LinkedIn template guide. If you really want that one, go check me out on LinkedIn. Make sure you follow me on LinkedIn so you don't miss any of those posts. I post at least twice a day, so there's lots of goodies there, lots of freebies. I'm all about giving you guys as much free content and free information as possible, because I mean, come on. And if you're just like, hey, Vanessa, like, I enjoy the free stuff, but I am now ready to really work on my specific strategy, there's a link in there also to schedule a free call, and we can see if we're a good mix to work together or not. And I'll tell you straight up, I'm like, hey, like, I want to work with you, and I think we're a good fit. You're at the right stage in this process or not. I'm all about being honest, because I don't want to work with someone who's not going to want to do the work and is not ready for it. And I don't want you to feel the same way either, like you're being pressured into anything. And that's never what I'm all about. It's like, I don't like that sleazy sales stuff. So anyways, I am here to strengthen you, okay? And to serve you and to guide you to be all that you were called to be, with the right mental, emotional, physical, and strategic health, okay? So until next time, let's keep on designing the best you.